Slim Show.
Hey, Robin Slim, it's Ginni.
Ginni.
What's up, Ginni?
Ginni Saraswati, how you doing?
Oh my God, boys! I gotta say, I may as well stay in Australia because it's easy to talk to you boys then. Because there's too much happening in America that I can't get to a phone on time.
Jeez, you're in New York City now, right?
I am in New York. There's too much to do here. I'm not using Melbourne. Like, I'm not saying it's boring.
I was gonna say I thought Melbourne was happening.
It's all happening here. It's like, I've got to run to a meditation. I got to do this. I'm like, I'll call you, boys. I'll call you. And it's like, there's so much to do here that it's hard to, like, get that time. But I'm like, no, I'm calling the boys today, even though it's Valentine's Day. I'm going to do it.
I know. It's Valentine's Day. I know. There's a lot going on.
What's been happening?
Same. Just growing the show, getting bigger all the time. It's good.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, you boys are a big deal. Every time I'm on Twitter, there's like, I know when I've got 1,400 notifications, it means that you've tweeted something with me in it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes, like, I'll be in the middle of Fall Friday and I'll go down to the kitchen to get something to eat, and I come back and there's like 200 notifications just from that. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
How's your show? Like, did you stop, like, when you were in transition from Australia to the States, or did you keep going? Like, how did that work?
Oh, I kept going. You know what? It was probably a little bit overambitious of me, especially when you come from an Australian summer to the brutal New York winter. I'm like, I'll do the podcast. I'll launch a new season. I literally launched it like 2 weeks before I landed here. So I'm like, I'll be fine. But getting to the studio here, because, I'm thankful that I get to record in the studio here, I thought, it'll be fun. But it's been a little bit brutal the first few weeks of winter in New York. But yes. I think I've adjusted, finally. It's taken a while, and I have a grander appreciation for clothes, let's just say.
Oh, wow. What, I was going to say, like, too, have your guests changed from being in Australia? Like, are you getting more guests from over here now, or does that not affect it?
No, I am getting a lot more guests that are American. I'm open to whoever I get on the show. I think I already had American guests when I was in Australia anyway. But
yes, that's what I mean. You were already more than established. You had Paula Abdul that you interviewed.
Yeah.
Ruby Rose. I wanted to ask you about that because our friend Ryder, that's one of her female crushes, is Ruby Rose, and you talked to her, correct?
Ruby, I did talk to Ruby Rose. Look, she's a Melbourne girl. So,
yes.
I have props to her for that because I'm also a Melbourne girl. She's a water scientist, so I have props to her. And I remember vaguely in my clubbing days, which were a very long time ago, I did see her out at a couple of events. She was obviously out clubbing those few nights. So there was an event called Q&A, which was Queer and Alternative, which was out on a Thursday night on Smith Street in Melbourne. She was out a couple of times, but this was before she was Ruby Rose, of course. So I remember, she was great to interview. I only got to speak to her for like 10 minutes because this was around the time she was doing promo for, wasn't Top Model, but it was something to promote modeling, I remember at the time. And there was a rumor she got engaged to her then girlfriend, but now she's obviously with one of the Veronicas. So yeah, so no, she seemed lovely. She seemed very private too at the time. Obviously now she seems to have settled a bit more into herself in the public life, but she's very private back then. I remember that.
That's cool. And are you still working in journalism?
I still am, well, the Ginni Show journalism, which is hardly journalism because I'm pretty much writing an autobiography. But I'm still actually, since I moved here, boys, I'm actually producing a whole heap of podcasts, which is great.
I saw that. I saw that on your website that you produce podcasts.
Yeah, no, I've actually, there's so much talent. I'm not saying there's no talent in Australia again. Yeah. Sounds like this is a big diss for Australia, but no, I'm not saying that. But since I moved here, New York seems to be the podcasting capital, and I've met some amazing talent here that want to produce a podcast and put stuff out there. So that's been fantastic to be able to do that.
Very cool. Very cool. Is that taking up most of your time?
It is actually, but I'm loving it. I think for the first time, before I moved here, I quit my day job, obviously, and I thought, I'm going to go into this full time, and it's now what I do full time, and I can't see myself doing anything else.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I heard of one of your last episodes. I think your guest's name was Chris Houston or Houston.
Yep. Housen.
Okay, and he's a Canadian broadcaster. He was really cool. Really cool. I enjoyed that one.
He's a good dude, Chris Housen. He actually, when I used to do a morning show in Australia, he had a morning show on in Canada on a station called Proud FM. And I remember because, Australian we're 16 hours ahead in Australia, but behind in everything else. It's kind of like the Northern Hemisphere gives us a head start. It's like, you guys get a head start. You guys can catch up and we don't. It's a nice gesture. So, he moved to Thailand to run the hit radio station in Phuket there. So we actually have never met.
Oh, wow.
And I do a brief stint on that radio station too. I do the show Nights on Live, so I do the Top 40 Countdown, and we actually never met or never spoke on the phone. We've been emailing for about, how many years now? 3 years now? And so that was actually the first time we spoke when we did that interview, that Monday Mocha. So he's clearly a kindred spirit, so it was really, really good to chat to him.
He was really interesting, and I couldn't believe that he's a grown man that doesn't drink coffee in the morning. Like, I was like, what?
Exactly.
What?
Can you believe it? That's wrong. I've got to say, too, boys, one of you wanted to meet Tony Abbott. Have you made that happen?
I tweeted to him and I emailed, but I never heard back. I was going to ask you if you know what he was up to nowadays.
God, no. I don't think... I think I said this before the last time that we chatted. Like, the fact that you know who Tony Abbott is in Australian politics, maybe you should try for Pauline Hanson.
Pauline Hanson? Is she on his level?
Absolutely. She's quite... If you have been watching Tony Abbott, so Pauline Hanson's going to be like a field day.
He was like the Australian Trump, I feel. Like, he was the Australian Trump. Like...
Well, Pauline Hanson was the only public... Oh, other than Abbott, of course. Other than Abbott, Pauline Hanson was the one politician in Australia that was excited to be invited to Trump's inauguration, and she tweeted about it. So that will probably come up.
That speaks volumes for itself. Yes. Oh God. I always want to say, like, I don't think he's gonna win a second term, but I think there's a chance he could. Like, just that he won the first time. Like, and when he won, I was kind of expecting him to just step away and be like, okay, I'm not ready. I can't handle this. Like, I just did it to prove a point. And I thought he was going to step down, but he didn't. He's just so stubborn. So crazy. Like,
and I mean, we're not all dead yet, so I don't think he's doing that bad.
Well,
like,
I don't think anything would have changed either way, but he's also... dumb as fuck. He's taking funding from like PBS. Like, who the fuck would even think of that? Like, and what's the kids? Like, what's Snap? Like, it's like, when kids need healthcare and stuff like that. Like, he's defunded that. Like, that's kids. Like, come on, fuck.
Yeah, it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Some of the shit. Like, fuck.
Now I moved over here and I'm paying him tax. I'm a smart.
What is that net neutrality thing like? Did anything come of that?
I don't know, to be honest. Actually, I did see that trending on Twitter when you boys gave me the 1,400 notifications, but I didn't pay much
I saw it for a while.
What happened there?
And like one of my buddies at work was like explaining it like they were selling the internet to like one or two companies and they would charge for, I don't know, like
probably Google.
The only thing I'm worried about is, from what I've heard, if that goes by, we might not be able to broadcast at the level that we broadcast.
That's one of the things, and they could make money off of us, like type of thing. Like, which, come on.
Wow.
Bullshit.
That's shitty. So.
Well, the show isn't Robin Slim without the both of them. So I just, unless they're like a paying sponsor or a heavy contributor, I don't think it's fair that they make money off the back of your content unless you're...
I wonder too, like, with like radio, how there's like, what's that called? The radio, like when it's not a radio station, it's like guerrilla type. You're out of somebody's house.
Like pirate radio.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if the same thing would happen on the internet.
Probably.
Like, yeah, I would think so.
Because there's so many people that like know how to manipulate the internet, where they'll find ways to get around the net neutrality.
Yeah, probably.
What's the biggest thing you miss about Australia, Ginni?
Oof, I've got to say, I would say the coffee, but I've moved to Brooklyn, so there's all these hipster places that have opened up, and there's obviously a few Australian places that have opened up here in New York, Australian-based cafes, obviously.
That's cool.
So I was going to say the coffee, but I actually say what I miss about Australia at the moment is the sun.
The sun, yeah, you guys have summer there now, like. It's gotta be a drastic change.
Yeah, it is. I miss the sun, and I guess I also miss, I miss my little niece and my friends in Australia. But I'm actually going back in a couple of weeks because one of my best friends is getting married, and my niece, I want to see her too. So cool. I get to go there, then I'll be right back here, and hopefully it'll be slightly warmer than it is now.
Hopefully. Yeah, December was rough, but this January's been okay. January and February.
Yeah.
Been all right.
Yeah. When does your spring kick in?
I would say like the end of February, it'll get a little warmer, and then March, like the third week of March, it'll be.
Once the end of April rolls in, like you're gonna be wishing it was. You might be wishing it was April.
You would wish that. What? I mean, you might that it was winter again.
Winter
right?
again.
Yeah, that's how I get.
Like, Jersey and New York get hot.
Humid,
man.
just humid.
Yeah, it's like that sticky, like.
You'll see it like coming off the street. Like it's
wow.
It's shitty. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
It's all that concrete, right?
Yes.
Soaks up the heat. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I'll probably stay amongst the trees. You'll probably see the news. Australian runs through New York with sunscreen and a picnic basket. That would be me.
If you go anywhere where there's trees, you're gonna hear the tree frogs just screaming too. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, like here or there. Like,
here and it's like Central Park, they're there.
I have to pay attention then.
They're straight up there.
To street frogs.
Yeah.
There's frogs?
Oh,
in
yeah.
Central Park?
Yeah, there's all kinds of wildlife there. There's everything you can think of, like raccoons.
Homeless. Hobos.
Well,
that spit on you. Oh, no,
no, hobos. No, that's Philadelphia. Yeah, stay away
from Philly.
Stay away from Philly.
Homeless people will spit on you.
Every time I go to Philly, I get in a fight. Like,
he gets spit on by homeless people.
They don't even talk to me. They just come up to me and
He only assaults the homeless in Philly, I guess. That's what he's saying.
The homeless in New York are like a high class homeless.
He respects that.
I've never had any problems from their homeless. It's always the Philly.
Oh man.
Always the dregs in Philadelphia.
What's coming up, Ginni, for your next show? Can you tell us?
The next show, so I'm actually planning season 4. I'm wrapping up season 3 of the Ginni Show. So season 4 is coming out June, July. We're just planning a launch date. But I'm also trying to figure out, I love Monday Mocha because it obviously gives me an excuse to drink copious amounts of coffee on a Monday especially. But I'm thinking if I should do that as a vlog. So we're trying to figure that out at the moment. So we're in some planning stages. And obviously being in New York and there's so many people from all around the world that come here. There's obviously guests here that are at your disposal.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to see where I want to take it, and if I need to keep drinking this much coffee to do it. Yeah, we're just in a planning stage at the moment. I'm just really excited to see what's going to pan out.
Nice. That's a great. That would be a great project.
That would be awesome. I can't wait.
Yes. Ginni, we have to wrap this up, but thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you boys so much. It's always so lovely to talk to you, and thank you so much for being so patient.
No problem. Where can everybody find you?
Well, where can we find me? You can find me at the Ginni Show or watch Robin Slim's tweets. I'll be in there frequently with the notifications.
Thank you, Ginni.
Thank you, boys. Have a good night. Happy Valentine's Day.
You too. Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye.
Take care.